What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you the finals of the most recent J&J's local. Now, this is going to be between myself. On the right, I am playing Bond of Friendship, of course, and then on the left, we're going to be having Team Scrub Out, another YouTuber who will be having coverage of this event, playing Diaboromon. Now, this is a matchup that I have been testing for quite a bit, just because when we saw that there were a few topping in the Europe Nationals, and they should have potentially gotten 2 of the 4 top 4 slots, I knew that this was going to be a deck that people were going to try to play, especially because people were thinking that it does quite well versus the Bond of Friendship, so I had to prep for it. So getting the matches in today with this deck is going to be pretty good because I can get that extra practice. So I'm going to go ahead and just Ice Wall, put my opponent at 1, and that way they can't develop too much. They have the Inframon here. I would prefer to have something like the Ikkakumon right now to potentially get rid of this Chumon, so that way I can have some more cards live in my hand, like the Howling Memory Boost I'm about to play here, as well as Hammer Sparks, but I can strip the bottom 2 sources of this Inframon and make it so the Chumon can't attack or block. And then also, I do believe I have a second Howling in hand, and so if they do go into a Diaboromon, I could Howling again to make it so that this Diaboromon loses its bottom 2 sources and then can't attack or block. But we are going to go ahead and swing for 2 checks, but I'm going to hit Cocytus on the first check and be able to bounce it back, and I'm perfectly fine with that because now that Diaboromon's gone, they do have 1 token, but the token's only 3k, so I'm not too worried about it. It's mostly just this Chumon that is being a little bit annoying, but I do get 2 memory from my opponent, so I can go into this Ikkakumon here. Gonna be able to draw with the Upamon and then get the Gabumon and searching, and then I can go into our second Ikkakumon to swing over the Diaboromon token, and then swing in for 7k, so able to essentially clear the board there outside of the Digimon in raising. And then also they do get the Diaboromon token out of security, which is kind of unfortunate, but the fact that they don't have a Diaboromon out doesn't matter too much. And then also I can just swing over it again with these Ikkakus as they both lived. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right there. I'm going to swing over so I get the draw with Upa and then the Gabumon hitting the mat. So a very key card to get in this matchup right now. I am going to swing security because I want to try to get as much damage in as possible, just in case my opponent does go into the blocker Diaboromon here and gets a token out. I want to be able to make it so that I could potentially go into Bond with Gabumon next turn, start swinging in as many checks as I can, and just go for game. So we are going to see the Diaboromon here summon a token. They're still at 0, so they can potentially build up something else, but there's not a lot of things that they can do with the Diaboromon at this position because they mostly need defense. And so if they wanted to play something like Ultimate Flare to get rid of the Ikkakumons, that was really their only real way to get rid of one of these Digimon. And as of right now, I can just go ahead and swing all 3 checks and potentially go for game. But I decided to use the Howling to strip the bottom 2 and then make it so the Diaboromon token cannot attack or block. And then that's going to make it so that I can just go ahead and swing in with these 2 checks right here. They can go ahead and trade off right here with the trade, but I can swing 2. I'm going to swing. And as long as I don't hit Ultimate Flare right here, I can go in for game. But even if I do, I'm not feeling too bad about it because going into my next turn with my next promote, I probably would be able to win regardless. I had a pretty decent board going into it, but now going into game 2, ladies and gentlemen, you guys get to see the finest of throwing from my end. So we will get into that as it comes up, but I'm going to go ahead and go into Octomon. Unfortunately, it does go down first check to the Diaboromon EX1, which means that a token comes out, so that does put me a little bit behind. So at the moment, I'm not feeling too good. Gonna hit Cocytus top check again, which is very interesting because normally I just have the Cocytus in hand, never really hit it in checks, but do get to hit it, get rid of the Diaboromon token. I would have preferred if there was something else better that I could have bounced, because most of the Digimon in my deck could take out a 3k token with the things like the champions and the bonds and whatnot, or I could have hit a tamer. So unfortunate there. We're going to see the Caramon search out. It's going to be able to grab an errata and an unidentified, so going to go ahead and grab the draw Caramon here. I'm going to be able to promote. I have 2 Davis out, no Matt. If I had Matt right here, this would have been amazing because I could have gone into Bond and bottom decked the Inframon, and that would have put me in a pretty decent position. But I'm going to go into the Ikkakumon. The Ikkakumon's going to allow me to swing over the Caramon, and then I can go ahead and get the draw with Upamon, search with the EX1 Gabumon, a very common combo that will be happening a lot if you do play this list. And I'm going to go into Lobomon here because I do need to cycle. I don't have a lot of great options in my hand. I want to put my opponent as little memory as possible. So with this way, I'm putting them at 1. They do gain 1, the errata go to 2, but I have another Davis on board, so I'm not really losing the Davis. I know that my Ikkakumon's going to get swung over by this Inframon pretty much no matter what. So I still have the Lobomon on board. I was able to cycle, and I can get a swing in. So I'm going to go ahead and swing, get the check in there. Lobomon does go down, but I have my opponent at 3 security, which is pretty good because as soon as I get a mat, I will be able to potentially go for bond. So I'm going to go ahead and spark here to put go to 1, and then I'm going to play mat, go to 2, and then I gain 1 with Gabumon, putting my opponent to 1, and then they'll go back to 2 with the errata. So just wanting to choke my opponent as much as possible. This will make it so that if they go into Diaboromon, I don't think they're going to be able to go back even with the memory gain. I think they'll have to put me at 1, and then I'll go to 3 with Davis. So they're just going to play out another errata, and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the biggest throw of all time. I'm at 4 memory, and I decided to play a mat down here to go to 3, so that way when I go into bond, if I hit into a ultimate flare and get cleared, then that way I'll still be able to go for game. But unfortunately, the EX1 Inframon does gain a memory, so I went down to 0, gained a memory, and my opponent goes to 3 and gets 2 tokens, and I trash 2 security, doing essentially nothing, and then the tokens with Rush come in and win the game. So looking at the security, I'm fairly certain that if I just went into bond, didn't do that play, went to 1, digivolved, lost a memory, went to 0, and swung in with the bond, I would have had game right there. But it's one of those events where you forget what a card does, and then you lose a match so hard that you basically never forget what that card's going to do ever again. So beware of EX1 Inframon. Don't make that mistake like me. But I do lose that game when I should have probably won it, so we are going to be forced to go to a game 3 here in this finals this week. But as of right now, I have a couple Gabu on board. I mostly want to try to get Tamers in. I was going to consider swinging in right there and get some checks in, but I really don't want to be hitting any option cards or Tamers out of security right now because my opponent could just get a lot of value off of that. So I decided to just chill right now so that I can digivolve into the Kakumon. They did put in the Kurisarimon, so I can go ahead and swing and draw with the Upamon, get rid of one of the Digimon on the board, and then I still need to try and do something with this Kurisarimon. So what I can do is go ahead and strip the bottom sources, make it so it can't attack or block, even if they want to go into an Inframon or something. So my Kakumon is safe for now. If they want to go ahead and play something, I can't swing with the Kakumon, but we're actually going to see an ultimate flare come out and just go ahead and put me at 5 and clear the board out. I can go into another BT6 Gabu to play mat and gain 2 memory off of it. I will swing, draw with the Upamon, hit the errata. Unfortunately, this is kind of why I was a little bit scared of swinging in, because I didn't want to give my opponent too many resources, but I can go ahead and go into a Madoki Betamon, put my opponent to 2, and then they will go to 4 with the errata. So they have a decent amount of memory gain going in now, and then if they go into a Diaboromon, they're going to be able to get some tokens. So once the 2 erratas come out, this is where the biggest problem in the matchup comes up, is if they go into blocker Diaboromon, it could be quite a problem. I do have one of Rattlestar teched in here, and so if I do hit that, I can bottom deck the blocker Diaboromon, which will help a lot, but I get ultimate flared back to back, which is going to be decently unfortunate because I lose all my momentum on the board. I kind of wanted those BT6 Gabus on board so that way I can continue to get more momentum with the mats, as well as potentially going for bond. I'm going to go into Kendo. Once again, kind of cycling. I know I'm going to probably want Bond of Friendship in this matchup, so I'm trying to cycle out. I can get an extra swing in, and because with how much memory my opponent put me at, I can go ahead and play down the Kendo, play down an EX1 Gabu, and then Ice Wall to put my opponent at 1. They will go to 3, but now if they want to swing over my Kendo, it will end their turn. So this kind of incentivizes them to not attack and more so digivolve. If they do want to digivolve, they can go into the Diaboromon here, summon 2 tokens, and gain the memory to go back into 0, which means that they can now swing over the Kendo if they want and have multiple tokens on board. So this is where it starts to get very scary. If that was a blocker Diaboromon, I would probably be in quite a bit of trouble, just because of how the ultimate flares came out and made it so I don't have that aggression that I need right now. Going into Bond of Friendship right here would probably be pretty impactful because I could swing over the Diaboromon, unsuspend, bottom deck the Kurisarimon, and then swing in, get another check, put my opponent at 2. I will have to sack off 2 security, which is a little bit scary, but I could get a lot of the momentum off the board to make it so my opponent's not going to be able to go into a blocker Diaboromon. Right there, I'm kind of just looking at my opponent's trash, trying to see how many of the ultimate flares have been played just to make sure that there's 2. I don't know how many my opponent is playing. I know that they are a little bit higher on the ultimate flare count, and so I have to be kind of wary of that. Since there's already 2 gone, that means there's a low chance of another one being in security, but I know that there's at least 1 more, so I'm going to go ahead and play a mat and an ice wall here. My opponent's going to go to 4, and this is one of those things where if my opponent doesn't have the blocker Diaboromon here, then I will likely just win next turn no matter what, just because of being able to go into double Lobomon. We'll be able to go for game. I have, I think, 3 or 4 hybrids in hand at this point. Last turn, if I had the Bond of Friendship, I think I would have been able just to secure the game no matter what, but we're going to see my opponent go in, gain 2 memory with the tokens with the Diaboromon, and they're going to swing 5 checks because they have security attack plus 6, I believe, so all checks going through, but they're going to have to pay 2 with the Ice Wall. Gonna hit the Hammer Spark, which is gonna put me to 3, and I get a second Howling memory boost out. But now I can just go into Lobo, swing, memory boost back up to 3, go into another Lobo, and swing for game. So really weird set. I do believe I could have gotten that 2-0 if I just didn't make that really dumb mistake and play the mat. And then also missing the Bond on the play on that turn right there was a little bit scary because I could have potentially lost the set by missing that Bond, but was able to take it out. Early aggression did come through, and luckily that the blocker Diaboromon didn't come out for me. But like I said, there was a pretty big throw there, so that's one of those things where you have to just learn from your mistakes and make sure you don't make them going forward. EX1, if you go into Bond, they do gain a memory, so make sure you're always Hammer Sparking up to 1 if you do that, or maybe Howling up to 2, and play around it because I know I will for the future. But with that being said, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe because I will be bringing you even more EX1 content leading up into Nationals. I've also been live streaming a bunch, so if you are interested in more live content, be sure to follow me on Twitch with the link in description. But with that being said, I will catch you all next time. I hope you have a great day. Peace out.